Okay, I've got a question. What do a phone number swap, a musician named Slide, and a snow globe have in common?
Well, somehow, believe it or not, they are all key plot points in 2022's Time for Him to Come Home for Christmas. We've got a lot to talk about, Jennifer.
And that's a really long title. We do, and we'll unwrap it all on this episode of Do You Watch What I Watch?
If you like holiday movies from the classics to newbies, let's sit down and watch, then have a talk with Jennifer and Josh. Sit down and watch, then have a talk with Jennifer and Josh.
Have you started any holiday happenings yet, Josh?
A couple parties on the calendar, our house is decorated. We've really moved all of the fall stuff back into storage, and now we are full tilt headed toward Christmas. What about you guys?
Same thing. We decked our halls this weekend, inside and out. And our outside, we went with a few years ago, we started a Charlie Brown motif. So I've got a doghouse. We've got to light up Snoopy and Woodstock, except Woodstock's bulbs are out, but that's okay. He has a
Yeah.
spotlight. But I had five, I say had as in past tense. I had five Charlie Brown die cut characters with stakes, metal stakes that were skating on blue lights on the ground. Today, woke up, I have four. Charlie Brown is missing.
This feels like an Amber Alert to me. Do you think someone
It should be.
stole Charlie Brown?
Well, I didn't because, of course, the day after we put everything up, we get alerts from AccuWeather that there's a wind advisory where we live and like wind gusts and all that. We're like, they're really in the ground well though, and I think it'll be okay. This morning when I woke up, I had five, and then when we really started our day and went outside again, I had four. So either a big old gust of wind came through and took the leading man, Charlie Brown himself, who was not on the end. Okay, he was like fourth in line. So the wind didn't take Peppermint Patty. The wind didn't take Linus or Lucy or Sally. The wind took Charlie Brown. Or I have had thievery happen at my house. So I made a wanted poster in Canva and we put it on our neighborhood Facebook page. And I've had people laughing, but no one knows where he is. My husband drove around looking for him. We can't find him.
Gosh, this sounds like a Hallmark movie and mystery right here.
It is.
You're
Do
going to
any of
have
my
to,
friends care about me enough to really like take off time from work around the holidays and help me find him?
you're going to have to keep us posted on this because I want to
I'm
know,
sad.
will we find Charlie Brown? I don't know. Stay
I don't
tuned.
know either. And so if it would have happened in like a 2-hour span. So even if it was the wind, he couldn't have gone too far. He would have been down the street a little bit, right?
Somebody's going to find him.
I
I
need all the
will.
Christmas prayers and either there's a Grinch or the wind, but something is ruining my Christmas spirit and I want him back. I'm willing to pay to get him back because otherwise I have to order a whole set of five. And who needs extra peppermint patties? Nobody. Unless it's the treat, like the candy. That's
The
delightful.
York. Yeah, I'll take a York any day. Well, thoughts and prayers for your Charlie Brown situation. Womp, 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 womp. And we will certainly hope that this comes to a very quick resolution. But speaking of
Stay
mysteries,
tuned.
in this episode, we are taking our first trip to Hallmark Movie and Mysteries for our movie that we're talking about tonight, Jennifer.
Or if you're my husband, you call it Hallmark Murder and Mysteries. Halfway through, he said, I don't think I like the Hallmark Murder and Mysteries channel. And I said, that's not what it's called. It's
There's
not
no
Lifetime.
murders. There's no murders. This ain't
Definitely no
Lifetime.
murders. Well,
Mm,
not
yeah,
okay, okay.
yeah. Anyway,
So here's the IMDb synopsis. 4 days before Christmas, Elizabeth Athens receives a voicemail from an unknown number she doesn't recognize. In the message, a man's voice, whom she doesn't know, makes one final plea to the love of his life for a second chance. So I drafted this one purely because Tyler Hynes was going to be in it, because he was in Three Wise Men and a Baby. I think I've seen all the movies he's been in. He was in my number one movie last year on Hallmark, which was Unexpected Christmas. I'm a big Tyler Hynes fan. And we posted about it, and he responded on our Instagram story with prayer hands and a heart.
is he about to become a fan of the podcast? I cannot wait to see.
One can dream. One
One
can
can
but
dream.
that's really the only reason I've drafted it. This is the 5th movie
In this
based on a
series.
Blake Shelton song,
Yeah.
Time, what was the song called? Time for Me to Come Home from his 2012 album that he co-wrote with his mom. His mom then, Dorothy, wrote a novel called Time for Me to Come Home. So then she co-wrote the first 4 screenplays from these movies. So there's been Time for Me to Come Home, Time for You to Come Home, Time for Us to Come Home, Time for Her to Come Home, and this year, Time for Him to Come Home. I think this is the first one Dorothy has not had anything to do with as far as writing the screenplay goes, but at least as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
But I've not been a huge fan of the other Time for movies. I haven't even seen them all, but the ones I watched I was less than excited about. But the stories don't connect. The only thread is the title and the Blake Shelton song that plays in every movie in
Okay.
some form or fashion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the
So
premise of
anyways,
this
what did you
one,
think, Josh?
well, the premise of this one sounded really interesting from go. I sort of like this mix up and possible interconnectedness here. So I was intrigued by
Mhm.
it. So we'll see if it holds up.
We'll see. Let's get started. So we open at a very fancy corporate Christmas party, and we see a gal in a red dress grubbing on some snacks, and her name is Elizabeth. She's our leading lady. Evidently, her mom is the CEO of a cosmetic company, maybe?
I
Do you
think that's
know?
the implication here. Yeah.
Yeah. It's at the being held at the Carlisle Hotel. Somebody tells Elizabeth, "Hey, you have a call up front, and it's Josh, aka Tyler Hynes, and he's going to rescue her from the party." We are to believe that these leads, this is a flashback from 3 years ago, and that they are college students.
She was talking about grad school and going off to do that sort of thing and all of that. So yeah, high school, no, I'm sorry, college seniors. Weird. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy that part. But anyways, it's snowing. He takes her home to see his mom. We get the implication that they've been around each other a lot. They're really good friends. And Josh has a surprise for her in the kitchen, and it's Andy, who is another third member of their friend group. So Josh and Elizabeth got an offer to work at the New York Times, and they see a shooting star and make a wish. And they're kind of just hanging out. They take a selfie together, the three of them, Andy, Josh, and Elizabeth. And so the phone number left a voicemail. And when she looks at her phone and sees the voicemail, it says 10:01. Did she just get to work at 10:01?
I was like, wow, okay. But I guess if your mom is the CEO and you're an executive assistant, it's not like they're really clocking your timesheet.
She's not assisting anybody from 8 to 10. 10:01, you get her.
No,
Hope you don't have any
exactly.
trouble before then.
Yeah, and she's
So
taking personal phone calls at 10:01
yeah.
apparently. So
So the man on the other end of the line wants to talk to Maddie. This voicemail is intended for Maddie or Madeline. He apologizes for what happened between them. He says he'll be at their spot at Christmas Eve at 5 o'clock if she'd like to join. And also, he went by their favorite bakery and bought some caramel turtles along the way. So she's intrigued by this, doesn't really know what to do with this information. And then she looks up on her calendar on her, yeah, she's in a cubicle as an executive assistant.
yeah.
Come on. That's not very believable. Okay. And circled, it's Andrew's memorial on the 21st of December. And I went, I can't look away for 2 seconds in these movies because I looked down to do something. I looked back up and I was like, wait a second, Andy, that was the best friend. He died?
Yeah. And you had warned me that these movies on Hallmark Movies and Mysteries can be a little bit heavier, and that is certainly the case with this one. So to get early on that her friend died, really in the first 6 minutes of the movie, is like, oh, okay, I guess we're gonna do that.
Yeah. This Christmas package was filled with cement. It was so heavy. Okay.
Yeah,
Didn't waste any time.
no.
So we get a glimpse of the man who'd left the voicemail and he's oogling a snow globe. And then he looks at a photo with a woman in the snow of them together. And he is played by actor Steve Bakic. I don't know how to say his last name. I'm sorry. But he was in 2020's Christmas with the Darlings on Hallmark. And I had to look it up because it was annoying me the whole movie. I was like, why do I know him? I've seen him somewhere. And that's what it was. Christmas at the Darlings, fun fact, also had our Queen from Snowbride, Katrina Law, in it. So if you're looking for more Katrina Law content, there you go.
Tangled
It's
web.
no Snow Bride, but it
No.
gets the job done. I wish she would come back for more of these movies, but that's neither here nor there. Okay. So, Elizabeth takes her phone with the voicemail on it to oh, no, she tries to call the number back, and it goes to the Carlisle Hotel, I believe. And it just goes to the front desk and they say, "Hey, any number calling out from people staying at this hotel is gonna read as that number, so we don't know which room the number came from." He never says his name on the voicemail. She shows up at the hotel with her phone and says, "Please, you have to help me find this guy." And he's like, "There are thousands of guests at this hotel. I can't go door to door for you. It's just gonna have to run its course. I'm sorry." She doesn't take that, news very well. It's ruining Christmas. She writes the message on paper and says, "Please just think about it." She turns around, bumps into none other than Tyler Hynes, Josh, and it is icy.
It's like, oh, something happened with this little dynamic here in the 3 years since we've seen them together, for sure.
Mhm. And so he runs after her and he says, "Oh no, the concierge or the front desk guy crumbled up your message as soon as you left." And she says, "It's not my problem. I can't fix everything. Things change, people change, and you'd know that if you stuck around." Ooh, okay.
Right?
So did he
Yeah.
go off to the New York Times, or he definitely pursued something else at
Yeah.
some point in the past 3 years, and she's none too pleased about that. We follow Josh home to see his ma, and we see the photo of the 3 of them, which I guess is, again, the most beautiful Ansel Adams photography we've ever seen.
Taken
And
with
it's
a cell
framed on a
phone.
bookshelf. Yeah, it was a fine selfie, but my gosh. So mom says it's been too long since you've been home. That's the title. Time for him to come home for Christmas, I guess, is the hymn.
That makes
We find
sense.
out Tyler had moved to Michigan and he just put in an offer on a house. And he liked Elizabeth back in the day, but she liked Andrew. So there was a bit of a love triangle there, is what he tells his sister.
Yeah, so stay tuned because that little dynamic plays out throughout this entire movie. So put that in the back of your noggin.
Right there. Okay. So Elizabeth is still obsessing over this voicemail, so she goes to Bobo Google, which is called Freely, which makes no sense.
Zero sense.
Wouldn't you call it like searchy or something like
Search.
not
Find it
freely?
freely.
I'm
I don't.
freely searching for ideas on the interwebs.
My favorite thing is that
Um,
they always do the letters in different colors so that you know that they're trying to do a play on Google, but not
yeah.
really trying very hard at all. Yes.
This goes back to our metaverse. I think all these movies should just agree we're gonna always call it, even if it's freely, always call Google this. We're gonna always
This,
have this style of phone interface. We're always gonna do that. Like,
please.
just let's just kind of streamline this a little bit. Or it's always gonna be called news, news, news. If there's a news station, let's just lean into it.
Christmas coverage you can count on.
So in the voicemail, the man had said that he went to Sweet Eats. So she goes and stalks the bakery and is like, "Hey, um, do you know a man who do you know the Muffin Man?" I feel like I was saying, "Do you know a man who came in to buy caramel turtles?" She's like, "That's our most popular thing, but and I can't release, credit card receipts or anything like that." And she's like, "Oh, okay, well, I'll take something from the back." The bakery worker goes in the back and she snaps a picture of the written log of customers trying to win a raffle in hopes that maybe this guy's name is on the list, which was, I thought, a good idea to try to stalk somebody.
Yeah. She is low grade obsessed about figuring out who this guy is because she takes it as very much this imperative that she's got to be the one to deliver this message to try to salvage this thing, which is kind of sweet, but also a little like, girl, don't you have a whole life going on too? It was a little
Well, that's why I wanted
jarring
to
for
ask
me.
you. So, I mean, I've gotten plenty of texts or voicemails or missed calls from the wrong number before. What do you do with that information?
Usually I ignore it, delete it, forget about it. I think that there was just something in this that for her, and she has to explain herself several times in this movie, that felt very desperate. This guy seemed to be very desperate in communicating this
Mhm.
information, and I think that appealed to her or something like that.
Yeah, I think if I'd gotten the voicemail, it would have bugged me. I would have wondered what had happened. Would I have gone to the bakery? Probably not. No, probably wouldn't have done that. But she's on the case. So then we cut to the memorial service, and there's a choir singing, and it's beautiful, and it definitely got me in my feels. We see a frame photo of just Andrew taken from the selfie. I guess it's the only
The
picture
only
ever
good
taken of the
pictures.
man.
Exactly.
But then there's also photos of other people. So we quickly learn that it's not just that he's recently died. This is kind of an annual thing. Must be a Christmas memorial every year for people who go to that church who have passed. We flash back to the party, and Andrew was going to come home after graduation, and she wanted to talk about quote unquote us with him. We'll see where that goes. Flashback to her telling Andrew that she has feelings for him, and Josh overhears. And um turns out, well, should we say this yet? I don't know.
He misinterprets it, right? And so that's sort of the thing that he overhears Elizabeth talking to Andrew saying, I've got feelings, blah, 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 blah. And Josh thinks that means that she has feelings for Andrew when really she's telling Andrew that she has feelings for Josh, but he doesn't get that.
Because Andrew back to her was like, how is this going to affect our friend group? And what are we going to do with this information? How long have you felt this way?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not a far fetched thing for Josh to have assumed that. But again,
Right.
like we always say, if it wasn't a
Just
movie,
ask the
one conversation could have
question.
cleared
Come
it up.
on,
But
please. Yes.
here we are. So she's at a cafe after the bakery stalking, trying to kind of get a little bit further, trying to track down the people on the call log to see if any of those people are the snow globe man voicemail people. And Josh runs into her. They kind of thaw the ice a little bit, and he apologizes that he ignored her after Andrew died. He thought it would be easier to get away. We learned that she left a party at some point, and another driver slid on a patch of ice and hit Andy, and that is when he passed away. Which I don't think they totally revealed this then, but spoiler alert, it's the night of the party that we see at the beginning of the movie, which it definitely got me in my feels for that.
Oh,
I hate that.
the way that they constructed this really sort of brought it together at the end in a way that I thought was really thoughtful.
hmm So they decide they're going to team up and work together to track down the guy. And they play the voicemail 8 billion times, and they can hear some sort of music in the background. So they think it's a music box. And so they ask his family. He takes her home to Ma again. Hey, do you know this song? They don't. Then the whole family bakes cookies together with Elizabeth, which is very cute. What did you think about this baking montage?
It was more about decorating than it was about baking, but I'll let it slide. I thought it was a good moment between these two. There was some good flirty banter, and I think Tyler just does a really good job at these scenes with not overacting, right? He just sort of
hmm
says the line in a way that is reasonable and funny and fun. So I think he did a good job.
Yes. At this point, we see the woman from the picture from Snow Globe Guy with another man. She's in a gazebo. No, first she's oogling caramel turtles, but she keeps walking, and then they go to a gazebo. And there's a Christmas ballad playing, and she flashes back in her mind a Snow Globe Guy. But the new guy, he's kind of a dweeb. I mean, he's precious, but they make him out to be like this dweeb. She says she hasn't been in the city in a while, and he says, "Hey, I know we've only been dating a couple months, but after for New Year's, will you come and meet my entire family?" She gets freaked out. Things get awkward, and they agree just to go to a tea party with little cookies for now. And her name is Madeline
Stay tuned.
from
Yes.
the voicemail. Yeah. Elizabeth and Josh are at a music shop hoping that a guy named Slide can identify the sound in the back of the voicemail. I thought it was Jeff Bridges when it started.
Ah,
I was like, "Oh, he's acting again."
look at him. Good for you.
He listens, he builds this, "Oh, yeah, you know how many times I've been wrong? None. I can always figure this out." And then he listens, he says, "Yeah, I got nothing." So they're defeated there. Elizabeth then clips the song and posts it on message boards for Christmas lovers, which I thought was a little bit of a meta thing. She said, because he's like, "How many of those could there be?" And she said, "More than you would think." And the consensus from the Christmas message board people is that it's an old, obscure British song called Holly and the Ivy. Now, is that obscure? I know
Not
it.
at all. It is on every Christmas playlist that I have. It's not at all obscure.
Yeah, when they were leading it up, I thought, oh, it's really going to be something we've never heard of. No, I know
Nope.
Holly and the Ivy. It's on the Muppet Family Christmas special that I've watched 3 times already this season.
For example, yes, exactly.
Yeah, well, that's not the song, moral of the story. So the message board people were wrong. You can't believe everything you hear on the internet, I guess. So we flash back to the party 3 years ago, and Elizabeth is freaking out because her mom figured out she wasn't at the party. And so she asks Andy to take her back because Josh left because his feelings were hurt that she he thought was in love with Andy. So Josh had left. She needed a ride. Andy took her back. And that presumably is when the wreck happens. That is Andy's demise. Now, my husband's name is Andy. So at this point, he didn't start watching this movie with me. He came in about this point, and I said, "How do you feel that the guy who has passed, his name is Andy?" And he said, "I don't love it. I think there are plenty of other names they could have chosen." So that was a little weird.
It wasn't an attack.
Yeah. They go back to the music shop because Slide thinks he knows the song. And it turns out he does. It's a song. This is how we incorporate Blake Shelton's Time for Me to Come Home in the movie. It was on some jazzy record from way back when, and it was a remix of this song. Well, not remix, but that's a version of this song. Slide figured it out, and it's being used on a snow globe that is sold in town from a local merchant. They do a new snow globe with a new song every year, and this is the song. So they know that this guy was at that store recently and bought the snow globe. At when we're at the music shop with Slide, we meet Tennille Towns. Now, Josh, I'm assuming you are not very familiar with Tennille Towns. Is that correct?
No. Yeah, but
Yeah.
you are.
I am. So we went to see there's a local, well not I guess it's national now, radio DJ Bobby Bones.
Yeah.
He did a comedy tour and he did a stop in Franklin a couple years ago. Tennille Towns opened for him and sang.
Oh, cool.
And let me tell you, she was new. I mean, she's still a pretty new artist, but not a lot of people knew her or anything like that. But she sang, and there was nary a peep in the theater. It was magical. Everybody was just kind of hanging on to every word she sang.
Listen, she's
So
got a
her
great voice.
acting, I'm not sure about the acting, but I think she played this part well, and she will come back into the story later on. So
It felt a little bit like Dina Carter in those movies that we watched over on Great American Family, where it was kind of like clearly she's there to be the country star. She's not there to be the actress in the movie, right? So they're using
right,
her.
she doesn't need to be a great actress.
Doesn't
Yeah.
need to be great because she's great at singing. Like that is her thing,
Yes.
obviously. Yeah.
Yes. So if you're looking for some country music, I would suggest Tennille Towns. I like her a lot. All right. So Elizabeth and Josh talk again, and he thought she blamed him for the accident. And they kind of, the ice thaws a little bit more with them. They realize the voicemail could have been, he says in the voicemail, I know you're in town, or you're something about the holidays,
Yes.
for the holidays. Well, they realize maybe it's holidays, like the holiday market in town, the Christmas market, not holidays. So they go to the market. They have this cute little moment where they're bantering and trying to win a big stuffed Santa bear. And I guess she kind of let him win, but he wins it for her. They meet up with his family. They let her in the family photo of his nephew's first Santa meeting, which was precious.
Very sweet.
And one of the vendors has a Maddie who works there, but she was not working at that shift. So they're like, okay, we'll come back and try to find her another time to see if this is our girl.
There'd be no way in 2022 that you wouldn't be like, do you have that girl's cell phone number? Could you give her a quick call for me? Like,
yeah, can you get her on the line? Like, I think I have an important message
Yeah.
for her.
I just got a question for her. Yeah. Anyway,
And spoiler alert, it turns out to not be her anyways. So,
womp womp.
womp.
Yeah, not her.
Yeah. We see Snow Globe Guy at the diner, and he says he's doing better than he was. He's talking to one of his friends. He's dating someone now, but his thoughts always go back to Madeline. She's the love of his life. It's been 3 years, and my eyes got wide at this point, but we'll get there. Then Elizabeth and Josh have the most unfortunate miscommunications because you see that Elizabeth loved Josh and was just seeking counsel from Andy, like we mentioned earlier. And I typed in all caps, this is the worst miscommunication ever because they haven't put it together yet that there was a miscommunication. They kind of both dance around that, oh, well, do you still feel the way you did back then? And they say yes, meaning she still likes Josh. He still likes her. Oh, no, but he thinks she still is in love with Andy, who's dead. And so he says, okay, well, I'm gonna move back to Michigan after the holidays. So they awkwardly hug, and that's kind of like the end of their romance, or so we think.
did this on purpose, right? Because they really want us watching this movie to be like, no, you guys, figure it out. Like they want us doing that until they
Yeah.
get there, which yeah, I
Instead of
gotta give them some
usually the
credit.
movies, you know that the guy and girl are into each
Yeah.
other and there's no question about it. So, yeah, they definitely wanted to keep our interest. And boy, this movie kept my interest because I'm telling
Oof,
you,
yeah,
you look away for 2 seconds, you're gonna miss something.
for sure.
So, we see Madeline and she's rocking out in a band, and then it's called Madeline Hahn and the Hallidays. Uh-huh. So she's been on tour with the Hallidays. Now, did she hallucinate and see Snow Globe guy,
No, he
or
was
was he
actually
really
there.
there?
He was really there because we get that in a scene where he's talking to his brother and he says, yeah, I saw her, you know, which I
I
thought was
thought
kind
so,
of
but at first I was like, "Oh, she's having a fever dream or something." All right, so she tells the now boyfriend that her memory is still on the other person. He's super sweet and understanding. They break up. At mom's work party, mom tells Elizabeth that she has a message at the front desk, and it's Josh, just like it was 3 years ago. He's figured out the mystery that Madeline is the opener for the big Christmas concert in town with Tennille Towns. They sneak in, and security stops them, but Tennille Towns says they're good, they can stay. They meet Madeline backstage and play the voicemail for her, and I thought she will not be in the right headspace for this performance.
no, not at all. And this is the moment where I just the waterworks. I
You
started.
cried?
Oh gosh, yes, I started in because this woman who played Madeline did such a great job of listening to this voicemail and really sort of conveying the emotion of all of it. I just
She did a
it
lot of
got me
face acting
all
and
a lot of
reactions as though
face
you really would have if you'd
reactions.
heard that.
Ooh, it got me
Yeah.
all in my feels for sure.
And then she says, "Well, I have a voicemail, I think, for you, Elizabeth." And she plays it. And it was this guy, Carter Bishop, the same guy, trying to get in touch with Elizabeth to apologize because he was the guy who drove and slipped on the ice and ran into Andy and Elizabeth and killed their dear friend Andy. Did
Which
you
was
figure it
sort of
out before this point,
I did not
or
figure it out. Did
did you
you?
not? I did when he was talking
About the
to the
3 year
friend at
thing?
the diner, the 3-year thing.
Yeah.
I was like, "He killed Andy," and I typed it in all
Yeah.
caps. I was like, "Didn't he kill Andy?" So, yes, so they agree they're gonna go meet up with him at the diner, which was where he'd said in the other voicemail he was gonna be. They meet up, and Carter, Snow Globe guy, talks to Elizabeth and says, "I'm so sorry. You know, it was an accident, yada, yada, yada." And they didn't have a long interaction, but they apologize. They walk away feeling good about it. And then Adeline walks in to meet up with him, and everybody looks like she's a ghost. I thought the ghost of Andy had walked in. They're like, "Oh,
Yeah,
she's
no,
here."
yeah, it was very that. But kind of surprising she showed up. I think it was just a good finish.
Yes, so they are off to the races in their relationship, and then Josh and Elizabeth go outside to some unfortunate CGI snow.
Oh, the worst.
It was not, they weren't even trying. I mean, it looked like just a filter, like an Instagram filter or a TikTok filter
Microsoft
on
Paint.
top. Yeah. They kiss, a sloppy kiss, then they go back to the Tennille Towns concert because she starts to play the terrible Blake Shelton song again live. She's not terrible, the song is. And how did Madeline get back to this concert so fast?
I don't know. Teleport.
Yes. The song went on a really long time, and that, my friends, was the movie. Okay, time for our gold or coal segment where we each give 3 gifts. If there's more gold, it's a fine time. Time, get it? If there's more coal, it's the time ran out. And if it's just a tie, it's just a Merry Christmas. Josh, coming to you first.
Yeah, it's gold for me out of the gate for the feels. There were just feels, feels, feels across the board. There was happiness, there was sadness, there was joy, there was anxiety. I felt it all in this movie and really liked it across the board.
My gold is how they tackled grief and how people handle it differently. It's not a fun thing to watch at Christmas, but it is very true to life, and I thought they really did a good job of showing all those different dynamics with each person and how one person grieves does affect other people rightly or wrongly.
Yeah. My second gift is gold. I thought there was great chemistry between these two leads, Josh and Elizabeth. And I also thought that there was good chemistry between Carter and Madeline, what we got of them
Mhm.
throughout all of this. You could tell that they really casted these people in a way where we could believe that there was romance between these two couples. I bought it.
Yeah, because the only reason they didn't work out is obviously he was traumatized after this wreck,
Sure.
and so he kind of shut down and shut everybody out because he didn't wanna hurt people anymore because he felt so terrible about it. So and it was
Hmm.
just an accident, he didn't do anything wrong, it was just wrong place at the wrong time kind of thing, so
Yep.
thought that was really good. I had the chemistry down as gold, but I will put, their past relationship that it felt like it had a good foundation, and you bought that they were really connected and they knew each other on a deep level. And I really like the lead female. I don't think I've seen her in anything. Holland Roden, I thought she was really good.
Really great job. Yeah. My third gift is also gold, and I just appreciated the way the story was constructed. I liked the flashback element that sort of gave us the pieces of the story about the party throughout the entire movie. And I liked the surprise at the end with Carter being the guy that sort of connected it all in a tragic way,
Mhm.
but ultimately in a redeeming way. I thought it was great.
I will say that my last piece of gold would be I'm gonna give it to Danielle Townes because I like her music. Not for the Blake Shelton song. That's what I was gonna give Cole for, but this movie's better than that. I'm not gonna Cole him for that. I like Danielle Townes a lot. I thought she did a great job, and I like her music, and I think they utilized it well. It made sense how they were incorporating the song in this movie, whereas it doesn't always in these time for movies.
6 gold, 0 coal. Overall, we absolutely think this one is certainly worth your time. It is a fine time. Jennifer, this is the second one this season where we had 6 gold and 0 coal. Another great one.
Well, and you know what the common thread is? Tyler
Mhm.
Hynes. Have you
Indeed.
seen any of his other movies?
I'm not, but I'm intrigued to kind of go back and take a look at other things in his catalog because he is really great in these movies of being sort of a different kind of male lead, I think.
Mhm. Yeah, he's a little rough around the edges, but I think
Mhm.
he's more relatable than some of the super clean cut squeaky guys that can be cast in these movies from time to time, especially in the Hallmark days of yore.
Yeah,
So,
definitely worth
highly
your
recommend
time.
that. This al or not album cover, the movie poster cover or did not do this movie any favors. I was like, this is gonna be rotten, but I'm so pleasantly surprised. I don't know if I'll watch it all the time because it is a heavier movie. You don't necessarily want to wrap your presents by it, but it was I think, a fantastic movie as far as qualitatively it goes.
Agreed.
And that, friends, is another episode of Do You Watch What I Watch?
Special thanks to Nick Schwartz for our theme song. And of course, to all of you for listening out there. If you like our podcast, be sure to review it, give it 5 stars, subscribe everywhere you can, even YouTube, and tell a friend. We're also on the socials Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Do You Watch What I Watch? So give us a follow and leave a comment. And you can also connect with us and find out more about us on our website at doyouwatchwhatiwatch.com, where we also have our merch store available for you.
We do. And if you want merch, the sooner you order, the better, just because shipping might get a little delayed. So
Yeah,
I
and
do have our Marianne Bright sweatshirt on right now. And I will tell you, I've been in it all weekend except once I threw it in the wash. It's like my new favorite sweatshirt.
I love
So
it. Yeah.
check it out.
Next time on the podcast, it's a new one from Hallmark, A Holiday Spectacular. Set in 1958, it follows Maggie, who sneaks down to New York City to make her secret dream come true, dancing live on stage in the Christmas Spectacular at Radio City Music Hall, putting her high society wedding plans on hold.
We will have much to discuss, and until then,
May your days be merry and bright. We will see you next time.